This is part 3 of our video on geometric sequences. So we've already looked at the formula. We've done 2 examples, and this is our last example. We just ran out of time on the last video. So it says determine the common ratio in the sequence where T1 equals 4096 and T6 is 12,500. So in the question, I see the word common ratio, and that tells me that it is geometric. Geometric means we're multiplying or dividing by the same amount every time to get the next term. Okay, term 1 is always very handy to know, and I'm sure we're going to find a way to use term 6. So since it's geometric, we can use our new formula, which is Tn equals A times R to the power of n minus 1. So I'm going to list those letters down the side and then fill in what I know. So A is always an easy one to do. A is the first term. First term, T1, same thing, is 4096. Okay, R is my common ratio, which is what I want to find in the question. So somehow there has to be a way for me to know what T and N are from this question. So I do know that term 6 is 12,500. So I'm going to say that term 6, so N is 6, and the value of the term is 12,500. And I'm going to take those values, substitute them into the equation, and solve. So Tn, we're going to put in 12,500, which is term 6, is the first term, 4,096, times R, the common ratio, which I do not know, to the power of n, which is 6, take away 1. So I can do 6 take away 1, which is 5. And I need to solve for R. So somehow I'm going to need to get these things to the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 4,096. So if I try my calculator, 12,500 divided by 4,096 gives me a decimal again. So I do not want to use the decimal. What I want to do is see if I can reduce the fraction. So I notice that they're both divisible by at least a 2 since they're even numbers. I know that 4,096 is a power of 2. It is 2 to the power of, I think, 12. So I know that it's a number that definitely will divide by 2 many, many, many times. So I'm going to take the 12,500 and see how many times 2 goes into that. So it goes 1, 2, it went in twice. I know if I try again, I'm going to get a decimal. So that means that they're both divisible by 4. So I'm going to try dividing by 4. So that's going to give me 3,125 on the top. And 4,096 divided by 4 is 1,024. Now, some of you may have a calculator that does that for you, but I always have to try to figure it out myself. So now I'm at this step. I have R to the power of 5 is 3,125 over 1,024. Now, to get rid of an exponent, the opposite operation of an exponent is a root. So the opposite of a square is a square root. The opposite of a power of 5 is going to be a fifth root. Now, we learned about that in our last unit as well. So to figure out the fifth root of 3,125, we could look at our power sheet and look for something to the power of 5 that gives me 3,125. And I notice that 5 to the power of 5, so that would be a 5. And then 1,024 is 4 to the power of 5. So the fifth root of that would be 5 over 4. Now, if you didn't have your power sheet, you could use your calculator. We talked about how to do a root. It's the second function of your exponent button. So I would put in on mine, I'd put in 3,125. I would do my shift, or in this case, inverse, my exponent button, and 5. and it tells me that it's a 5. And then you would do the 1024 separately. To get the 4. Now your calculator, you may do it in a slightly different order, but those are definitely the buttons you need to push. So this is 5 over 4 equals r. So my common ratio this time was a fraction of 5 over 4. Now, what you need to do at this point is you need to do your check your understanding page and make sure that you've done that before you come to class. Have fun.